Hi, I'm Bill O'Reilly. Thanks for watching us tonight. How the Obamacare brawl affects you, and that is the subject of this evening's Talking Points memo. Classic left-right brawl. President Obama and the Democrats wanted to provide health care to Americans who could not or would not pay for it. Republican Party and President Trump don't want to do that. So the battle lines are drawn. Here are the facts. 81% of all Americans who signed up for the Obamacare health plan will receive government assistance of some kind this year. Some will have their entire health care premium paid for by the federal government. That cost American taxpayers more than $100 billion last year alone. That's the essence of Obamacare, that all Americans are forced to buy health insurance so that the have-nots can be subsidized and covered by the haves. It's estimated that since Obamacare passed, 13 million people have health insurance who did not have it before. Enter President Trump, who says that Obamacare costs are way too high and the program's a disaster in every way. So the Republicans will put forth a new national health care plan. This one will not order you to buy health insurance. If you don't buy it, your option will be go to the emergency room and get treated. If you can't pay, the taxpayer picks it up just like the old days. If you cannot afford health insurance premiums, the Republicans want the states to handle it through Medicaid. President Trump and his acolytes essentially want out of the health care business and will send federal money to the individual states so they can decide who gets what. But the Medicaid tax dollars will be capped. Liberals hate that. They hate it. They want the feds to dictate health insurance costs and who gets free or subsidized insurance. So that's essentially where we are. The key question for you, the American citizen, is will your health care premiums go up or down once Obamacare is history? Today, the Congressional Budget Office said that under the Republican plan, the feds will spend about $337 billion less subsidizing health care over the next 10 years. But about 21 million more Americans will not have health insurance by the year 2020. Again, that would most likely be their own choice not to have insurance. The CBO does not know what might happen if the insurance companies are allowed to compete nationwide, which they cannot do now. Will that drive premiums down? That's the hope on the Trump side, but not on the left.
This really has nothing to do with health care. What this has everything to do with is a massive shift of wealth from working people and middle-income people to the very richest people in this country. It is a $275 billion tax break for the top 2%.
Now, Senator Sanders is angry because the Republican health care plan knocks out an Obamacare payroll tax, 0.9%, and a tax on investment income. Sanders saying that gives money to rich people. And that's always the argument from the left. Any tax breaks, especially on investment income, sales of stocks, interest, that kind of thing, helps the wealthy. But the Trump administration has promised to lower taxes, and the health care plan does that. It's simply impossible for you, the American consumer, to know how this will all turn out. As they say on the West Coast, it's complicated. Summing up, liberals want a big entitlement culture. Some uber conservatives want few, if any, entitlements. More moderate Republicans want the states to handle health care entitlements with limits. There you have it. And that's a memo. Now for the top story reaction. Joining us from Washington, Senator Lindsey Graham. Where do you come down on this, Senator Graham?
That was pretty good, actually.
Thank you.
You left out one. Actually, it was very good. You left out one thing. Republicans have a refundable tax credit to help low-income people buy health care that are not covered by Medicaid. Here's where I come down on this. Obamacare is a disaster. In my state, in 2014, there were 5 health care companies providing health care through the exchanges. We're down to 1. There's a 27% increase in premiums this year, and the 1 may leave.
Why did the others bail? Why did the 4 bail in South Carolina that were operating in 2014? Why did they bail?
Because the mandates required them to cover people, and they couldn't collect enough money.
So they weren't
even
making
with
money.
the subsidies. They weren't making money. They went out of business. To President Trump, don't take a bad deal. You're a great negotiator. If you can find a better way using Republicans alone to replace Obamacare, do it. But if you can't find a bill that you think helps America, not just the Republican Party, walk away, Mr. President, let it collapse, and it will, then challenge the Democratic Party to help you, because they're the ones that created this mess.
You should, and I'm not saying this with any partisan feeling at all. You should be able to do it, and there's two reasons why. Okay? The first one is the competition level. All right? So you get the little gecko lizard, and you get the other people, and they all can come up with their own programs to sell anywhere in this country. That is going to drive premiums for the working Americans down. It has to, because there's more competition. It's okay, if I don't want to go with this insurance company, Allstate, I'm going to go with State Farm. I'm going with the lizard, wherever I'm going with, because it's a big, big country. Everybody needs some protection. So that's number one. Number two, as you rightly pointed out, there are, for the poor and the disinterested, all right, safety nets. So that you can, if you earn very little money, write off, all right, almost all of your federal tax if you buy health care insurance. So you won't have to pay any tax. Just buy your health care insurance. But that still isn't going to mean that ne'er-do-wells and people who are apathetic or too stupid are going to buy, and they won't. And they won't. And that's what the CBO said today, that you're going to have a rise in the uninsured. But in our capitalistic society, it's, you know, you have to protect yourself. I mean, it's not a nanny state. But Sanders wants a nanny state, does he not?
Yes, he does. The goal of Obamacare was to destroy the private sector and put everybody under government control by making it so expensive that companies would drop coverage and pay the fine, and these exchanges would be run by the government. They're trying to do through the back door what they couldn't do through the front door, which is single-payer plan.
They want the British
What am I trying
style,
to do is what you said. So the problem under reconciliation bill is that we can't do the across state lines purchases. We'd have to actually get 60 votes. So here's what I would suggest. Look at the CBO report as a sort of a blinking warning light. Obama ran through every stop sign and every warning light to get to where he wanted to go. All I'm asking is slow down, absorb this report, and remember, we're going to own what we do here for the rest of our political lives, and Donald Trump is the best deal maker I've ever seen, and if I were him, I would not take a deal unless I thought it was a good deal. I'd let it collapse.
I mean, look, I don't know what he's going to do. He's having rallies now, and I'm sure this is going to be the focus of them, and he's going to try to whip in public support. It's interesting that you can't get the insurance mandate to compete unless you get 60 votes in the Senate. But there are a lot of Democratic senators who are up for re-election, and boy, if they knock that down, it's not going to be good on their sheet. Now, while I have you here, you're investigating the assertion made by President Trump that President Obama had something to do with wiretapping Trump Tower. Today, they walked it back. Spicer did. Said, you know, he wasn't talking about the president himself ordering that. It was a general thing. And we know that Flynn was wiretapped and most likely in the Trump Tower. Coming up behind you is Dennis Kucinich, a former congressman who was wiretapped in his congressional office. So how do you see this thing?
I think I owe it to the people of the United States, your viewers, to let you know whether or not there was a warrant issued against the Trump campaign or Trump Tower by a lawful authority. So I've written the FBI and the Department of Justice, and I want them to provide to me, my committee, Judiciary Committee, any evidence of a warrant. If there is no warrant, then we'll have solved this problem. There was no wiretapping. Now, if Flynn ran into the Russian ambassador who was being followed because he's a foreign agent, that's different than having a FBI or FISA warrant on the Trump people. I don't know if that happened, but we all need to know whether a warrant was issued against the Trump campaign, and I promise you I will get to it. As to health care, I don't want to take a vacation in August unless we get this fixed, and I want the people who watch this program and everybody in the nation to know whether or not the Trump campaign was wiretapped by anybody.
All right. Well, we appreciate it, Senator, and, you know, when you get it, please let us know. We'll break it for you.
You'll be the first.